Compositions of functions. Compositions of functions are when we apply one function to another function. And we have two kind of ways to write it, but the symbol that we use would be like this open circle. So we might write f of g, or you could just show that you're plugging in the g function into the f function like this. So these are equivalent to each other. F of g, usually put it in parentheses and then of x, or f of g of x. They're the same thing. So here, what we're doing is we're taking the g function and we're plugging it into the f function. So we're going to take this function here, g, and everywhere that we see the x, we're going to plug it in. So that would look like this, 3, and then x squared minus 2x plus 6, and then minus 4. So instead of the x, we put this whole function in for x. You can simplify, distribute, combine like terms. So f of g of x is the other way you could write it, would be equal to 3x squared minus 6x plus 14. Okay, so now let's do the kind of opposite, f of g of x. So now we're taking f of x, we're plugging it into the g function. So this time around, we're taking the function of we're taking the function of f, and we're going to plug it in everywhere that we see x in the g function. So that's going to look like 3x minus 4 squared, and then minus 2. Instead of x, we're putting in the 3x minus 4, and then plus 6. We're going to simplify, double distribute, all of that. So when I double distribute here, we get 9x squared minus 24x, and then plus 16, minus 6x plus 8, and then plus 6. So we'll combine those like terms together, 9x squared minus 30x plus 30. And last here, we're asked to take f of x and plug it back into f of x. So what does that look like? That looks like taking our f of x and then plugging it in for this x here every time that we see that x. So f of x is 3x, nope, not x, 3x minus 4 minus 4. So that one's a little tricky. And we get 9x minus 16. Something that I do want to point out to you is that f of g of x and g of f of x are not the same. These two things are not equivalent to each other. We can see that our answers are different. So it's not like multiplication or addition where it doesn't matter the order. The order of composing functions is really important when you're calculating them. The other thing that we can do is we can evaluate at a specific value. So here it's asking us to take g of 1. So figure out what g of 1 is equal to. And then once we have that number, plug that number into f. So let's start out by finding what g of 1 is equal to. So we have 2 times 1 squared minus 1 minus 1. So you can either do a little mental math, you can plug it into your calculator, but either way you should get 0. So now we're taking what g of 1 is equal to and we're plugging that in to f. So now we're going to find out what f of 0 is. 5 times 0 plus 6. So now I'm plugging it into this function and we get 6. So f of g of 1 is equal to 6. Show you another example. So here we're going to find out what f of negative 2 is equal to. Then we're going to plug it in to g. So f of negative 2, plugging in that negative 2, we're going to calculate, we get negative 4, and now this is equal to negative 4 that we're plugging into g. So g of negative 4, 2 times negative 4 squared, minus negative 4, minus 1. Again, you can do the mental math or plug it all into your calculator. Either way, you should get the answer of 35. Okay. So these first ones are a review from the first day. So using a graph. So here we're going to find out what f of negative 3 is. We're going to find what g of negative 3 is, and then we're going to plug it in. So as a refresher, I'll do this one for you, and then we'll do compositions. So f of negative 3, that's the blue function. Here's negative 3, and we're going to go up, is equal to 4. G of negative 3 is equal to 1. So 4 plus 1 is equal to 5. Composition of functions, the first thing that we would do is we would find out what g of negative 4 is. So let's hop over. G of negative 4 is that red function at negative 4, so that's going to be 0. And then we're going to take what that's equal to and plug it back into f. So f of 0, we can see f of 0 is right here on our graph, so that's going to be 2. I'll show you another one. So let's find f of 2. So we're going to go to our x value of 2. We're going to go to our f function, which is the blue function. So f of 2 is equal to negative 1. And then we're going to find out what g of negative 1 is. So here's negative 1, and we're going to go up, and g of negative 2 is 2. So you can do composition of functions using the graph. You could just use the equations that they give you. Just depends what information they give you and how you're going to evaluate. But that's composition of functions, taking one function, plugging it into another.